Hey everyone, Hans here. Hope everyone is doing well. Today I'm going to go into another topic that I may or may not yet have broached. I do not quite know for certain. Um, but mm, it's about communication. It's a communication tip, but it predominantly stems from my observations. And I'm not exactly the best at this myself. But there might be those out there with a better talent or more talents in regards to entertainment and thus communication, because that is what entertainment is, if done right. It's how to appeal to people, I guess, and it's really simple. That is to say, understanding the essence of it is really simple. The anti-whites are very good at it, by the way, or have been. It's really all falling apart for them as far as I can tell these days. Doesn't mean they need to be underestimated at all. In fact, it's maybe even best to overestimate them, because they want to hurt our people, right? Or peoples, depends on how you want to look at it. Whites. European stock. You know what I mean. And by extent, what am I on about? It's in regards to what I've been seeing since, let's say, at least the last 6-7 years of my life now, when good, well meaning people want to present hard information to a mass of people that is, whether it's educated or uneducated. Do these terms even mean anything anymore at this point? I honestly am starting to doubt it by the year. By the year it seems to be getting worse and worse. Seems like people are being uneducated by going to school rather than educated. It's like they're being kept dumb. And that's not even talking about the indoctrinations that take place there, which makes it all even worse. It's like, not only are you not taught anything, there's a beautiful bird passing by there, but not any ways. It's not only that there is nothing being taught anymore of value, or barely. It's that you're now seeing young people being taught to be confused about themselves. They're conditioned into being in conflict with not only the world around them but themselves. Like their own psychology is just fractured. Maybe I should get into that as well a little bit, we'll see. But over these last 7 years at least of my life, I've witnessed many good meaning people. They reach out to the world and they say, hey, like, here is some hard facts about what is going on in the West and where it comes from and who is involved and this and that and such and so. And they might have maybe 20, a few hundred, at best a few thousand people listening, of which many people, they take the information in but don't even do anything with it. And okay, that is their good right. But why has nothing changed for the better? In spite of hard, honest, very important information being shared out there, and I have to come to the conclusion it is because there is absolutely no emotional appeal. That's something you have, like these two-faced individuals who go out there and say that feelings don't matter over facts, right? That is such a poisoned way, or either, no, I'm not even gonna defend it. To me, that is just poison. Because feelings are important. It's part of what makes us man, doesn't it? No? When you're feeling, when you're crying because you've been hurt, can you imagine the kind of sociopath you have to be to walk up to someone like that and say that that does not matter? What about people who are having a good time, are laughing? They're sitting at the bar with a few friends, talking all kinds of nonsense just to make each other laugh. And like some other guy joins them and says, oh, this does not matter. Okay, maybe that's not the best example in regards to the facts. The idea that a fact needs to be influenced, or how shall one call it? Yeah, whether how you feel about something that has happened does not change what has happened. In that sense, sure. But to say that facts do not care about your feelings, yeah, I still would call it poisoned. A poisoned way of presenting things. Because it is about your interpretation of what happened, that is also important, right? I think in psychology they call that subject come before object. And and that is essential to know when you think about it, because subjective, I apologize in case I come over as a bit obnoxious by explaining it, but I think some people need to hear it, and I do it for those 2 or 3 who might have never heard of this. I'm pretty sure most people do. The subject is basically, or subjectivity, is basically someone's personal take on what happened, right? And the objective is just a hard, raw facts of what has transpired or what is transpiring. But the subjective always comes before the objective in terms of interpretation, of getting it in your system. How would I best explain this? We understand the gravity of a fact through emotion if we are healthy individuals. I think that is the best way of looking at it. So, let's say that someone comes running at me and says that someone's barn is on fire, or what have you. Like, that person is gonna be in an emotional state, I may well hope. That person is not gonna come running at me and then just dryly, oh, by the way, Hans, the barn over there is on fire. Maybe we should do something about it. Okay, I'm gonna run to the next guy. Bye-bye. I mean, that does not happen, right? It's gonna be like, Hans, quick! Fire! Or something like that. Fire, barn! Lots of smoke! Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea. And do you see then how that is gonna, if someone would say that to me, it's gonna impact me emotionally before maybe even rationally? It's like, okay, which emotion needs to be activated? Anger, fear, love, what have you. You start, you see that, and then depending on that, whether I like it or dislike it, well, that barn is still gonna be on fire, right? Okay, so the barn is still on fire. Then I have to choose, and Hans has to choose what to do with that information plus the emotional response that wells up from within. But there you have it. That emotional response needs to be dealt with before I can deal with the fact. Hans needs to understand. Is Hans gonna run away? Is Hans gonna, I don't know, go help extinguish the fire? That depends on first on what Hans feels and how then, and this is something that anti-whites predominantly do not do. For them it's just feelings and response. No, the healthy individual feels and then analyzes. Oh, and this can be in seconds. Some people need a bit more. Some people need a little bit less. That depends on how stress resilient you are and all of that. How much stress you can take. But yeah, okay. So Hans Hans is afraid because Hans is afraid of fire. Well, I guess Hans then has the choice. He's gonna run away from the fire, or is Hans gonna be brave and realize, no, that the fire needs to go out. I'll deal with it that way. Something like that. And it is the same with each time someone comes at you, and that is subjective going to the objective, as far as I understand it. Dealing with the self, then dealing with what's happening in the world outside, the external world, right? I think that's a fair way of putting it. The unfortunate part is that many good-meaning people who have been trying to warn, if you will, of all kinds of fires all over the place, they come at it with a certain coldness and calculation that leaves no room for emotion, and even is met with frustration and anger when someone else then gets emotional. That's not their fault necessarily, because these tend to be the types who, not everyone is very emotionally inclined for whatever reason. That can be for unhealthy reasons, or it can be that they actually mastered themselves. That looks a little bit alike, unfortunately, but there is a huge difference there in where it comes from. So what I then see is countless people coming with facts to a population that is unfortunately trained to only, to even consider emotion as if it is thinking, which it is not. These are separate capacities that man has, or should have at any rate. And if on the other hand then you have very capable liars, deceivers, who know that you have to go through emotion first, and not only have they fooled those who come, the genuine good people who come with facts, to believe that that is all that matters, these deceivers, they will spin whatever story is out there. They will tell you of all kinds of fires that do not exist, while perhaps even ignoring fires that do exist, because they're the ones who put the place alight, and they don't want to be found out. They will come with emotion at you, or at the general population. You see where this is going? And because the deceivers who use emotion have more appeal, because they talk to the subjective of the individual, which always comes before the objective, it will always be more appealing than the ones who want to skip that emotional part, who want to skip the subjective part. Because the subjective does not really bear on reality, but when you really think about it, it does. Because if the subjective is approached with then the hard facts of what is really going on, and that happens, that's definitely happening too, but that can really be more extensive, then you're gonna see real issues in the world vanish real quickly. But what does that entail? Well, basically you look at those deceivers, and what is it that they do? They entertain. And they try to get rid of entertainers who do want to speak truth through their entertainment and communication skill sets. Can be, stand-up comedy is, I think, a perfect example. When is the last time that you saw a stand-up comedian that was actually positive towards people of European stock, whether it's New Zealanders, Europeans, Americans, etc., etc. If I have to look around in the last, let's say, almost decade, it's just absolutely horrible. What was it again? It's like just these blue-eyed people, so bad. Or it's not a quote, so you know what, here is a challenge for anyone that cares to do so. Look up for a stand-up comedian today that is actually positive towards those of European stock. At all, Maybe a bit, they're comedians, so they'll Might jab a little, but that's okay. That keeps us self-aware, and that's always a good thing. But you know, at which point do we also then get that little nudge of, hey, come on, you know, I'm just joking. You're good guys. I don't feel that out of any of these comedians these days, if that's what you can call them. It's just more like activism. And there you go. They are. They say the most horrible things, but because they make that emotional appeal, whereas those with the facts do not, they are listened to far earlier than anyone else. It's, by the way, also what happened in a lot of, every dictatorial uh, system, let's just call it that, will in fact always try to get rid of the entertainers. Wonder why. But then why don't we learn from that? And I calculate myself into that. I'm unfortunately do not think I'm that great of an entertainer. I am more, shall I call it, factual based in my approach to things. But then again, I always leave the room open, of course, for people to think about it. But that's not so much emotional appeal. Unfortunately, I'm also not very good at that, I guess. I like the way how I am, and I like bringing things how I do, so maybe I should change that, I do not know. But as things stand, I don't quite see myself going that place. Maybe in the future, who knows. But as things stand, do you comprehend? I think I explained it as best as I can. And yeah, it's about understanding the psychology of those you want to reach out to. And it is about addressing their pain that they might have. Or their joys. You know, it can be. All emotions are actually good when expressed because that is healthy. If expressed with in a temperate manner, perhaps. So you need both. You need the subjective and the objective. You cannot separate the two. That's always going to be unhealthy. You know, like I just explained, if you only focus on the objective, you're not going to approach. You're not going to reach people because they don't know where to place the event that is happening. Aside from a few who do not need so much emotional input, or who are very morally driven, who are self-mastered people, tend to have a lesser need, as far as I understand it, for emotion. There are, of course, like the videos I talked about, the sociopaths, the narcissists, the psychopaths they do not understand emotion, but that is different. You know, they tend to be these deceivers in the first place, anyways. Mimicry, that's with them what the case is. So yeah, it can be a bit difficult, but that's also where people have to do their due diligence when they're told something. Check it out. Don't believe the first thing you're told. Check it on the opposite side. Doesn't mean, even if you already have made up your mind, it's actually very helpful to look on the opposite side of things. The forces that even want to hurt you. That's how I found that's partially at least how I found this out. I was observing these anti-whites. Don't like to do that, but it is kind of important, unfortunately. What can I say? You need to know what makes them tick, and you need to know how they conduct themselves publicly. Now, where does their success come from? How did it get this bad in the first place? And then you can see. Means you need to face that there might be a few years of your life that you have not spent as best as you otherwise could have, but will you truly then betray the years that you've lost? I don't like saying that, because you've been doing other things. You've always garnered some knowledge. Doesn't matter how stupid or whatever it is that you did. And there is something like, I use this spiritually, not religiously, redemption. You do not redeem yourself by going on your knees and crawling all over the place praying at chapels or something. No, you redeem yourself by turning your life around and becoming a better man or woman than you were before. And you can choose to do that anytime you want, and it doesn't need to be in 1 minute from the next being someone else. That's not how it works. It's gradual. But gradually improving yourself, setting yourself up for being a better person in whichever way you see fit. You're not Hans. Hans has no business thinking how you should or should not behave. That's up to yourself. But then please understand how you go there, right? Otherwise it's not going to change. It's also the appeal of organized religion overall. It's the pretense of being a good person, so they don't actually have to do the hard work. And that hard work is painful and unpleasant, and you need to be brave if you go there. But I can only say this as well. If you want a better world, you better be a good person yourself. A better person, at the very least. Because the world, beautiful as it is, can be a harsh place. But I do find that most people bring it on themselves. Oh boy, I'm already 20 minutes in. I'm gonna have to close off soon because this thing is about to drop out on me. So is there anything else I can add to that? Yeah. If you want to have people see your way, let me finish with that, I guess, for this one. If you want to have people see it your way, it's important that you understand that on an emotional level, they've been turned against you by the anti-white. Because anti-whites want everyone to turn against whites, even family members among each other, even individuals against themselves. Guess I'll have to leave that for another time, I guess. And by understanding that, well, now you might find ways to, let's just say then, if you can respect the subjective in man through an emotional appeal, like what the anti-whites are doing, you just have to do it more effectively, I guess. Plus, you have the facts behind you, so you can be honest. Well, I hope you do at least. Because the facts are sort of that platform upon which you can build your own, I suppose, reputation, as it was with our ancestors. Reputation was everything for them. You could not be a liar. If you were found out once, nobody for the rest of your life might have ever believed you. You might have had to flee the area altogether. And then the people in the other area would have been like, hey, why is he not with his family? What's up with that? In today's society that has been made a lot easier, unfortunately, but it can be turned about. So long as you're honest and you bring decent facts and you make that emotional appeal, to start with the facts and again as your backup, you're gonna be always far stronger than a deceiver. That is why they've been telling everyone of good intention to ignore the subjective, ignore emotion. So that, well-meaning people are on the back foot. Is there something else? Yeah. I think that's the best I can add for now. If you are one of these people that likes to reach out, that wants to reach out, Don't just throw facts in people's faces. Have that emotional appeal, and maybe that's good training, because I know some people who have the real facts about them, but they're still running away from themselves too. They have personal hurts that they're not willing to face. I can tell you this much, so long as you have those, and it is okay to have them, most of those are not really, or shall one put it, they're self-imposed, usually from childhood. So it is, how shall one call it? I won't say that it is not anyone else's fault, because that is the first thing, the moment you say that, now you put it in someone else's shoes to fix you, and it's never gonna happen. That's not how it works. Give yourself a psychological cleansing. And if you cannot do that, I guess you're gonna remain unsuccessful in reaching out to others if you care. It does not matter how well intentioned you are, unfortunately. I guess I can always also add that it's okay, it is okay to hurt as long as you're honest with it. And if you have done something to hurt others, if you have to redeem yourself, you do that by going to those people and genuinely apologize, I would say. In the case that happened, because there are plenty of people who pass on their hurt, try to pass on their hurt to others, which is awful. Most crimes on the planet happen because of just that attitude, I think. Vast majority do. All these narcissists, sociopaths and psychopaths, it always begins there somewhere. Passing on their hurt to others. Because they're so desperate to run away from themselves. Doesn't mean because they were made victims that they are good people. That is also a lie. You can be victimized and a victimizer yourself at the same time. Just throwing that quickly in there. But if you do care, and if you have victimized people, and it fills you with a justified shame, I guess, then go to those people, man up, woman up, if you prefer that, and have a heartfelt apology, and then let these people choose. That is for those who need to do that. And I suspect even in the white positive sphere there are those who do. Goodness knows I've seen some really despicable figures in the sphere, and they're not being dealt with yet. They're being welcomed still. It's awful. How are we ever going to get forward if we allow the dregs to stay in place, shoulder to shoulder with us, ready to abandon all the moment it becomes uncomfortable for them. But you need a people that is self-respecting, that loves itself. And you can only love others once you love yourself. You need to have self-respect. That's the basis. Each individual by him or herself. Before anyone starts working on that, we're gonna look at more of the same. And I guess if you want to know what the end result is, have a look-see at ancient Rome, I guess. Or, there are more examples. But I think Rome will do. All in all, I have to go. The machine is about to give out, and think about it, I guess. Oh, by the way, in regards to Southern Nordics VR, I really appreciate it, and I hope I've helped some people with that insight. Now you all have a good one, and bye-bye.